Hey, welcome to another video on the Inside Spurs channel. Happy Saturday morning to you all. Happy weekend to you all. I hope you're all right. I hope you're all okay and looking after yourselves. We're going to be talking in this video. Really, we're going to be talking a little about the parade yesterday. It was a phenomenal parade to be at. But we're going to be talking about that. We're talking about Ange and the possibility of him staying next season and the updates surrounding that. Some of the transfer chat of transfer plans that has sort of been talked about. So we'll be talking about that as well. We've got Richarlison transfer news, Angel Gomez transfer news. So there's so much in this video. All right, so kick back, relax, enjoy yourselves, and obviously Spurs play tomorrow at home to Brighton. After seeing Instagram and Twitter stories from about 5 a.m. this morning, I think some of those players are probably not going to be rocking up tomorrow, if you know what I mean. But if you are obviously wanting the preview, I did it yesterday. Go and check it out. Let's start with the parade really quickly. By the way, the parade yesterday was absolutely magnificent. It was just great. Hundreds of thousands of fans. Everyone's in a great mood. Everyone was happy. It was lovely to be at. I really enjoyed the parade. Obviously being at 41 years from the last time I won a European trophy, you don't know when the next European trophy parade will be. If it's another 41 years, I'll be 70 years old. So I had to be there. I had to get there. And look, I turned up fairly early, and even still, the parade was heaving from midday onwards. And I turned up, about an hour and a half before it kicked off. So, yeah, thanks to everyone was there. And obviously, thanks to everyone that stopped me. There was a few people that stopped me to say hello and, that spotted me from a distance. So really good to see some of the subscribers and things like that. It was really cool to meet some of you. It was a good day all round. Transfer news and Ange. Let's talk about Ange, okay? Because obviously the season concludes tomorrow afternoon, early evening. And we always talked. There was always that report that the review is going to happen at the end of the season on the manager and the playing staff, obviously. Not just the manager, but also the players. There's a hair bugging me. But he was always going to get the European campaign, right? That was always the chat. And obviously, if we went out really early in Europe, had we gone out to AZ Alkmaar or Frankfurt, he may have been gone. Him winning, obviously, a European trophy, our first trophy in 17 years is, look, you'd be hard pressed to sack him now. You'd be hard pressed to sack him. It's funny what a trophy can do. It's been such a long time. We all kind of forgot how to act and be around it. So, look, I expect Ange to be here next season. If I'm honest, I do expect him to be here next season. With that though, you do need to change the way we go about transfers. I want to talk about that in just a second. But yeah, Ange was phenomenal at the parade, by the way. Anytime because they had TVs all along the high road. Anytime he flashed up on the TV, people were giving him the loudest response of happiness. I can just tell you that. He was a fan favorite, to be honest, yesterday. So, look, his comments at the end, saying that like a good television series, season 3 is always better than season 2. What you heard on those videos was loud, right? Being there was a different kettle of fish. It was so loud yesterday when he said that. The shouting out of the 4 players in the leadership group, Brennan Johnson, honestly, Brennan Johnson was probably the player favorite of the fans yesterday. I think I sung the Johnson song 100 times yesterday. It was ridiculous, It was a good day all round. But yeah, looking at that, the fans are, a lot of them probably Ange outers are very much on boards with Ange staying. And like I said, you're 2 years into this. And I always said, a manager's, when you're doing a really massive rebuild, a manager obviously is going to need 2 summers, 2 Januaries, well, technically 3 summers, because you know what I mean? That's the start of the 3rd season. But that's how I've always viewed it. I even view like Ruben Amorim. The guy needs time. He hasn't really had any chance to change Man United. He does need time. Ange needed that time. We went from, obviously a very defensive team to a very open, technical, progressive team. And that takes time. Now, the irony was I always thought third season, got to start to deliver. Now, the irony is he delivered in his second season. Okay. That was obviously a different story. And looking ahead now, what do you do to build on this? This is an opportunity for a launchpad moment. How we all feel after Wednesday night. We're all in, amazing spirits, aren't we? Right? How do you make this more of a regular thing? I'm not saying you have to win a trophy every single season. There's teams that go, 1 or 2 seasons without trophies, and they're big teams. Real Madrid's no trophy this year. So it does happen to even the biggest teams in the world. But how do you go about being a team that is competitive every single year? I'm not saying you have to be, fighting for the Premier League title, in FA Cup finals, League Cup finals, and, being great in Europe every single year all at once. But you've got to be competitive, at least one of them is my attitude. And the club of this size, they should be, By the way, good morning to you all. I haven't missed any of your comments. I promise. Good morning to you all. And yes, anyone that did ask, I did go to the parade yesterday. Simon, I saw you've just asked. I did go to the parade. Casey, there is transfer news. Don't worry, it's coming. I'm just talking about Ange and transfers leading into the transfer news. I'm setting it up, Call me Papa Matasar. I'm setting up Brennan Johnson, who's my transfer rumours, But he's going into this next season. There are positions in that squad that we need to improve upon. Left back has always been something that I've always said. You got Dessie Doggy. I love Dessie Doggy. I love Dessie Doggy when he's fit, though. And if you're playing him 3 times a week because you've not really got anyone to give him some credible backup, then you're not gonna get the best out of him. The irony is I've watched Dessie Doggy in the last 3 rounds of the Europa League, where he's been sort of playing once a week. He's been one of the best players on the pitch every single time we've played. So adding to that is an opportunity to keep him fresher. I know some of you might view Jed Spence as a left back potentially. Okay, that's fine. Then you need to go and buy a right back. That's my attitude. Some people do view Spence as a left back, and that's fine. I don't really have an issue with the idea because I think he can do it, but it does mean you need to go and buy a right back. What happens in the midfield? You got Bentancur and Basuma last year of their contracts. What happens there? In the attack, I'm about to talk about Richie in a second. Richie may move. What are you going to do about, Matisse Tell? Going to be talking about that in a second as well. There's so much. There's so many questions in there, and I haven't even mentioned, Vuskovic coming in the summer. What are you going to do with Phillips? Romero. There are questions within that group, right? But you do need to add, and you need to add quality. I don't think you need to add 5 or 6 players. I really 20 million ago, or you need to add 6, 7, 8 players. I think you need to add 3 ready to go quality players. Add a couple in there that are going to give you quality rotation, and off you go. I genuinely think it is that kind of vibe. Now, obviously, by the end of the summer, I could be like, oh my God, we actually needed way more than I thought. But I think they did so much work last season. And the irony is we took lumps this season, but Bergvall and Gray are going to be better next season. Jed Spence, the revelation of Jed Spence is huge. It's another thing that you can forget about, if you know what I mean, in the nicest way. But there are potential first team players that are leaving. There is that potential. And, this is where the opportunity is now. This is where the opportunity is to launch off of that win, right? So let's talk a little bit of chance news. So I've got a little bit of Richarlison, Matisse Tell, Angel Gomez, and I want to have a bit of a sort of an open chatter with you guys and what you guys think. If I could have one position added, this is the position, this is the player. I want to have a conversation with you all because I think there's so many question marks. Look, Romero, Atletico, we know that's a chance. Bentancur and Atletico, we know that's a chance. We know Reguilon and Werner and Forster are moving. Solomon, Leeds, we expect that to get done. I know Everton are sort of lurking, but we won't expect that to get done, right? He will move on. He will be sold this summer. Brian Hill, we'd expect him to move on. Um, we'll expect, what happens with Keeley. Obviously, Leighton Orient play tomorrow, I believe, against Charlton in the League One playoff final. So Keeley and Donnelly's season finishes tomorrow as well. Let's see what we get there. I expect probably at least one of them to go back out on loan, maybe even both of them back out on loan next season. Let's see what happens with Alfie Devine. Obviously, I know Vuskovic is coming in the summer. Abbott out on loan. Yang's out at QPR. Ashley Phillips from Stoke. There's so many questions of so many players out on loan. And we did such a good job of moving off of some I wouldn't call them dead because I hate, it's not a fair word, but you know what I mean? Players that that weren't going to be here long term. So I think, you're moving off of 3 first-team squad players next season, right? Like I just said, Reguilon, Werner, and Forster. You're probably moving them on. You free up that spot. You don't need a keeper addition because obviously you've got Vic, you've got Kinski, and you've got Austin. I think that's more than enough right now. Use that squad spot of Forster and go and get left back. Just take that squad spot, move it to left back. Well, actually, you don't even need to do that because you've got Reguilon, but move that to going to get another midfielder. Move that to we're going to get a centre half. You know what I mean? That's the vibe I'm looking. Werner, Matisse Tell could be that Werner replacement in a way. You know what I mean? So we'll sort of talk about it. But let's talk some transfer news first. So let's talk Richarlison and Everton. Now, the only thing about this is Everton are supposedly trying to move for Liam Delap. Okay, now obviously he has a release clause of I think £30 million due to Ipswich's relegation this season. Now, Ancelotti is becoming the Brazil manager. Okay, so obviously want to impress the next manager. He wants to be Brazil's number 9 leading into the summer tournament, the World Cup. This is a World Cup year. As soon as tomorrow's game gets out of the way, it's now a World Cup year. And obviously players want to be playing. Hence why I would say try and get as much business as you can get done in the summer, because a lot of players won't want to move in the January transfer window in case of losing out of positions for the European, the World Cup. That's what I expect the summer to be really, really busy, January to be a little quieter. And obviously Ancelotti managed Richarlison at Everton. That is a weird statement, by the way. Ancelotti and Everton. I know it still feel a bit odd, but he did manage Richarlison at Everton. So it says Graham Bailey has been told that Richarlison knows he needs to be playing next season, which is one reason he's considering his options. One of which is a return to Everton, who have promised him a leading role at Everton, obviously. Richarlison sees Everton as the most opportune solution right now. Obviously, we've got a bit of time. We've got a bit of time going into the summer, and we've still got a game tomorrow and things like that. But I would wonder if... Well, I'm just looking here. Apparently, Calvert-Lewin may be leaving this summer because his contract's expiring as well. They're not activating their buy option for Broja, apparently. Oh, yeah, there's going to be an opportunity there from Everton. Also, going into a new stadium gives them more power and financial fair play as well. So they're going to have a bit of money to spend, Everton. I'm not saying they're going to have hundreds of millions, but they're going to have a bit of money to spend. Now, let me quickly look. I don't actually know how many years Richarlison has on his contract. Here we have a quick look quickly. Give me a second. He's got 2 years left on his contract this summer. So I think it's one of those that, I think we all love Richie for the end of this season and how he's done and how he's played. And we've all got fondness for Richie. I think we all have a fondness of Richie. And at the same time, you can have that fondness and also go, it just never stays fit though. And, and that's fair. And I totally do agree. I think try, as Spurs fans, I know it's difficult right this second due to obviously the week that we've had. Try not to live in the moment of, yeah, but I love him. We should keep him, because we have seen this story before. He'll stay for a bit and then he gets injured. And then he'll get fit for it and he gets injured. And then stay fit to the end of the season. So I think he will move on in the summer, Richarlison. I really do. I think Spurs get somewhere between 20 to 30 million. It might be one of those you get 20 and then you get 10 million in add-ons, you know. Everton stay up, you get a few million, you know. Him score 15. Once he hits 15 goals, you score, you know, you get a few million, that kind of thing, right? I think that would be a good deal. You know, there's talk about Spurs and not FFP, but Spurs and cash flow issues. Well, this would be a way of adding to your cash flow ease, you know, with Solomon going and Brian Hill going, and, you know, you're moving off of obviously those other players, that first team players and their wages, you'll save on those. You know, you could be saving quite a bit of money on those wages, put those 3 players leaving, by the way. Obviously, Timo having a huge hand in that. But I think that is an opportunity. That really is an opportunity there, that Richie moves on. You leave it on an absolute high, and you say, absolute legend, I love you. We will always love you. All right. You'll always be welcome back at Spurs. But knowing Ange, knowing this medical team, knowing this squad, they get injuries. And I could do with a few people being a bit more resilient when it comes to their injuries, right? So that's my thinking on Richie. Like I said, I do like Richie. I like him even as a player, but because he can't stay fit, I have an attitude of, you know, it just isn't right anymore, you know. We want to talk a little bit about Angel Gomez. Obviously, if you don't know Angel Gomez, the midfielder, he's an England international. I don't know if he's in the England squad that got announced yesterday. Obviously, someone could tell me, that'd be grand. But again, coming from Graham Bailey, TBR Football, saying that Tottenham are increasing in confidence that they can win the race to land England midfielder Angel Gomez. Now, Angel Gomez is obviously on a free. He, for people that want a dominant 6, he isn't that. He's a very smart player. He's great with the ball. You know, he's great with possession. You know, he's great at dealing with press, but you wouldn't look at him as a defensive machine. Okay. I get that it's free, and I think people over-egg the idea that a transfer is free. Transfers aren't free. Like Jonathan David, he's a free on paper, but when you look at all the money that goes into those deals, they're actually still expensive deals because, like I've said a few times, those players go, well, you're not having to pay 20 million for me to that club. Give me 10 million as a signing on fee. And before you know it, you're like, oh, this deal actually became quite expensive. I don't know if he would truly. I don't think. Look, he's not going to suit the 6 for us because we need someone who's got a bit of physicality. You know, Bentancur showed since the international break that he can ironically play that 6. And obviously having Basuma next to him really helped because Basuma's got some physicality as well. But, you know, could Gomez play the 8? Yes, probably. Do we need another 8 though? Probably not. So having an actual 6, I know there's talks about Johnny Cardoso. Again, I haven't really watched enough Johnny Cardoso to give you an absolute categoric, he's amazing, he's rubbish, or he's anything in the middle. I do the loan roundup. I talk about his stats. I talk about, you know, things like that. And, you know, he played a bit. He played all right. You know, haven't truly sat down and watched him too much. So again, with him, they play in the Conference League final against Chelsea next week. I'll watch that final. I'll be watching him intently because he is going to be starting. Kulu's a elusive right foot. He's back in the chat. He's been elusive. He's not even been in the chat a little while. But look, I mean, it's a shout. I mean, Paulinho from Bayern. I don't know if they will keep him. I think they're going to be moving on from Goretzka, is the stuff that I've heard. Moving on from Goretzka. They want to move. Obviously, they moved off of Dyer. They're talking about maybe moving on from Kim Min-jae. Kingsley Coman, Sane may leave, you know, because obviously they're looking to try and get Florian Wirtz. They need to free up some money for that. I like Paulinho. They obviously spent really big money on him. I don't know if Spurs will go there knowing his age. I know we want experience, but we also want players that can stick around for 5 years, not players that can stick around for 2 to 3, especially when you're spending that big money, you know. Good player. I'm not denying that. It's just I'm trying to get in the mindset of what they're thinking. You know what I mean? Same Punk, how are you? Look, Marshall's saying Conor Gallagher a lot. Look, Conor Gallagher we like, but if we want Conor Gallagher, we're going to have to send Romero or Bentancur their way because if we don't, they're not going to want to deal with us. And also, he plays a lot of football for Atletico. He's one of Simeone's favourites, so I don't think we'd get him. I think looking at this season, he probably would have been very good, ironically. But there you go. Morning, J Mac. You all right? Keep med score. Look, I want to talk about Eze in a minute. I will come to Eze. I promise. All right. I know so many of you have commented his name. I will get there. I promise. So look, on that, on like Angel Gomez, we'll sort of see on that, because again with Angel, it's not to say that he is a bad player. It's just it just doesn't seem right. You know what I mean? It just doesn't seem right. So just want to get a story up. I did have it. Sorry, bear with me. I want to get the story up on Matisse Tell. Because obviously Matisse Tell on loan has a buy option. We all get that, okay? Now, Spurs are interested in keeping him. They are interested in keeping him. Jonathan Tarr's going to Bayern. I've just found that out. We're interested in keeping him, but we don't want to spend the 60 million on the buyout, right? Yeah. So the idea is apparently this summer, Daniel Levy views Matisse Tell as a future star. Now, look, he's had 6 months with us. I think we've seen flashes. Supposedly, the idea is Spurs want to get him for about 40 million euros, which is probably about right. You know, how you structure that deal is interesting. You know, obviously, a lot of that's just the Harry Kane money. But apparently, Daniel Levy views him as a future star. He's had 6 months in the system. You give him a pre-season with Ange, he will look a lot better next season. He is versatile. He can play across the front three, which is obviously something we were looking at when we talked about, Kolo Muani back in the day in January. So I think it's probably going to be about 40. Obviously, again, Bayern want to free up money because they want Florian Wirtz, but apparently Florian Wirtz is quite interested in the Liverpool deal. Apparently Liverpool might get Florian Wirtz, which is a hell of a coup for Liverpool to get, by the way. Szoboszlai and Florian Wirtz, what a two that's going to be, by the way. That is incredible. But no, on Tell, I could see it happening. Absolutely. Yes, maybe he's not the experienced player that we think about, but if you are moving on from Richie, he might be the sort of striker option in there. Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't, I know some people aren't that keen on Tell. I get it, but I think his flexibility in terms of the front three is massive. We'll sort of see. Yeah, I think some people saying 30 is about right. Some people saying 40, 45 is about right. We'll sort of see. We'll talk about Cherky in a minute as well. And we'll talk about the two Palace boys because we linked the two Palace boys. Like Limpy says, he's not a striker yet, but his project, but still elite. I think he's an elite project. Like, I think he can be fantastic. But again, it's, he's still young. He joined us having not played much football leading into joining us. He didn't really have any match fitness. He didn't really have any match sharpness. It was always going to take time. And I think as the season got better, as the season went further on, he did get better because once he had found his feet, found his legs, we had obviously then, we didn't have 12 injuries for a period when he started playing. We then had, first teamers back. You look at the two Bodo Glimt games, he was brilliant in both those. Against Frankfurt, he was really good against Frankfurt. He's been popping up some goals here and there. I think there's a player there personally. Where did you see we are keeping Ange? You didn't join me at the start. If they sack Ange, Levy will alienate a real big part of the fan base. Even Ange outers, a lot of them are Ange in. He's won a European trophy. You can't sack him. You can't sack him after European trophy. I just can't. Hey Faz, mate, how are you? Yeah, the parade was immense yesterday. It really was. No, right. Well, let's talk about some more. Right, let's talk about Cherky. So yeah, there is reports linking us to Ryan Cherky from Leon. There's chatter that it's like anywhere between 20 to 40 million. I don't truly know where his value lies personally, but I always talk about players that's a Tottenham player, you know, like that's a Tottenham player sort of thing. And I looked at Jack Grealish, right? That's a Tottenham player that he's never played for Tottenham, but that is a Tottenham player. You know, that's that swagger, that confidence, not arrogance, the confidence, you know, all those things. He suits Spurs. Eberechi Eze, yeah, he suits Spurs. You know, Cherky is another one, suits Spurs. He does. Now with Cherky, there's chatter around. Oh, has he got attitude issues, things like that? And I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to say this is alleged. I'm not saying he does. By the way, I don't know, but if you want someone who's going to get you off your seat because he does something a little bit outrageous, Cherky's that kind of guy. Cherky's going to try some stuff. Some of it's not going to work, and some of it will work. And the stuff that will work, you'll go, "What have I just witnessed?" Right? He's that kind of player. But it will come down to cost on that one, and it's not because Spurs are cheap and they don't want to spend the money. What I'm saying is, if he's going to cost 40 million plus, Spurs will look at that and go, we could probably go get Eberechi Eze for a little bit more. And I know Cherky's a little bit younger, but Eberechi Eze, England international, plays Premier League football. He's been really good for 2 seasons in the Premier League. Like, they won the FA Cup. He scored the goal. It's an unbelievable goal, by the way. Like, it's not an easy one. So with Eze, right? Let's talk about Eze quickly. Right. His buyout clause, 60 million, right? The initial, and then 8 million on add-ons. So it was a 68 million pound deal. Now, the issue was last summer, Palace had just sold Michael Elise to Bayern Munich. So they got 40, 50 million, whatever it was, right? They no longer needed to sell. And they didn't really need to sell probably before that, but they had the power to go, well, why would we sell? We've got money, like we can spend, we can reinvest. And I mean, they won the FA Cup because they reinvested smartly. You know, Chalobah came on loan for a bit. You know, they did well. This summer is a bit different. Now, there is question marks between Mark Guehi, Eberechi Eze. Okay. I think they probably said to Eze, gentleman's handshake, stay for 1 more year and we'll get you that move. Because every time Eberechi Eze is at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, people go, oh, come Spurs. He smiles and looks at them. And it's like, don't give us hope. The hope is what kills you, okay? Don't give us hope, Eberechi. But he's a wonderful footballer, And it's not to say that it will happen. But my God, would he suit Spurs? And he would suit Ange. He does suit Ange. He can press. He's brilliant. He's technical. He can beat his man. He's a good finisher. He can play in a few different positions. But if you do want him, you need to get in there before Palace sell other players. Because if you get there after Palace has sold other players, they have control again. They have power to say, well, no, you can have him, but it's 60 million plus 8 million on add-ons. So you have to be smart. You have to be direct about it. Now, with Ange looking like he's staying, okay, it's not guaranteed, but Ange looking like he's staying, it allows you to go into the transfer market straight away and move straight away. Okay, obviously getting a new manager, you then need to set up a new system and who do you want? Who do you think is good in the squad? Ange is going to know. Ange and the you know the scouts and Lang and potentially Parachi, they're all going to know. They're all going to know what the hell they want in this summer, who they want to keep, who they don't want to keep. You know, if you sacked Ange, you're probably going to lose Romero for sure. You keep Ange, I think you're going to have a chance to keep Romero. And Romero, we've witnessed over the last, probably about a month, how amazing he is and how crucial he is for us to be great. I just think with Eze, you can get him cheaper, but you have to get in early. You have to get in early because Mark Guehi is going to have 1 year left on his contract this summer. I expect Mark Guehi to move this summer for sure. I think Chelsea will be the move, though. And I think Chelsea will go, give us Mark Guehi, we'll send Trevor Chalobah back your way. Or we'll send a centre back your way so you can replace him. We'll give you a good deal sort of thing, right? He's a Chelsea boy as well. For me, I like Mark Guehi as well, by the way. I like Mike Gray as well. I'm not denying that, but my attitude is you're keeping Romero. That's my attitude. You keep Romero, you don't need Mark Gray as much. You need some attacking, like those attacking players. I mean, you think about that final, right, against Manchester United. No Kulu, no Matters, no Bergval. We had zero creativity in the midfield. If that guy was fit, he'd have started at 10. We wouldn't have any questions, and we definitely would have won that game comfortably. That's my point with it all. So Eze is my number one target. If we could, if like, let's say every player's on the board that you can get realistically, go and get him. He suits Ange ball. He's perfect for Ange ball. He can play in a few different positions to give you a bit of flexibility. England international. The other one with England international, by the way, it's marketable. And it sounds stupid, it sounds silly, and you're thinking, what are we talking about? We're talking about football on the pitch. Trust me. Owners also look at, how can I market these players? Manchester United has always been about building players' brands, because then they can use those players in adverts and make more money. Marcus Rashford was a big one. And it's not to say that Marcus Rashford is a good or a bad player. I'm just saying, as an example, they built his brand and they could use it. Eze being, a good professional, very smart, good at chess. That shocked the hell out of me. I didn't think he'd be a chess kind of guy. It's marketable. It really is marketable, and I just think he would be perfect for Spurs. It's all about Brian and Mbeumo on the right-hand side. And no, I think Brian's got a chance. You got a chance, but with Brian, I just think they'd go Eze. I think they'd go Eze first. You know what I mean? I think Eze would be at the top of the list. I think there might be some other players, rocking around at the top of the list. I do like Mbeumo, and if you've been around on the channel for long enough, I like Brian Mbeumo, and I think he's a really good footballer. And him in his mid-20s, having had a really good season for Brentford, but Eze would be the number one guy on that side of things. With Mark Guay, like let's say Eze isn't going to be leaving, and you can get Mark Guay. Is that signalling Romero's gone? Is that us saying no? We're actually going to add Mark Guay to the centre back room. Then you're going to send, you're sending Phillips and Vuskovic probably both out on loan. You've got Big Kev Danso. You've still got Big Kev Danso, who I think is going to be, a really solid player. Then obviously it's the idea of, well, you got Radu coming back in January. So you've got to have that question mark. And then they might even say, yeah, but we're going to play Mickey van der Ven at left back a bit more, every now and then. And, Mark Guay and Romero could be your centre backs. And I don't really like that as much. I like Mickey being at centre back. Mickey can, make up ground then all across the back four. If you have him at left back, you're sort of pigeonholing him into a position where, for 10 minutes in a game, yeah, fine. Last 10 minutes of the game, you bring on maybe another centre back to see out a game, but keep the great players in their positions, if you know what I mean, and then build around them. Build around the two centre backs, build around, Matters, and build around Destiny Doggy, Porro. That back four is phenomenal. Spence, I think, is a good rotational option. I think Big Kev Danso is, but that's all we've really got. So you have to add positions, add another centre back, add another left back. And the idea is I don't want us to overdo it with Vuskovic straight away. Don't expect Vuskovic to give you the world after being at Spurs for half an hour. He's still a very young player and he needs time to make mistakes and develop. So left back is a big one. Obviously, I know for a while we were linked with Patrick Dorgu, we were linked with Bradley Locko. Obviously, I know he had the big injury. From there, what do they go? I mean, there's talks about, is it De Winter from Syria? There's talk about him. And again, it's how they view Jed Spence. They could genuinely view Jed Spence as a left back. Well, if that's the case, you need to go then buy a right back, because I don't think they view Archie Gray as a right back, and nor would I want them to. I'd want them to view Archie Gray as a midfielder who, let's say we've got a sending off in a game or as an injury, could go, Archie, we need to go play right back, and he can go fill in. But I want him to fill in, not be there. You know what I mean? See out a game, 5-10 minutes, not a problem. Not a problem, So that's my thinking. I'm looking at Eze as the main guy. He's experienced. We talk. There's the reports from Simon Muckbell. Spurs are looking to buy experienced players. Well, if you're looking to buy experienced players, I hope you buy three. Okay, and it doesn't mean they all have to cost 70 million. Not at all. Not at all. Eze would be the big move. It would probably be funded in regards to selling an attacker, moving off obviously Werner, selling Solomon, selling Hill, selling maybe one more in the first team. It'll fund itself. Then you can go, right, we need to go and get left back. We can spend 30 million on left back. Fine, not a problem. You go and buy a midfielder for sort of 30 million again. Great, not a problem. What I don't, and I hope Spurs learn their lesson this summer. Don't leave it late. Don't wait and see if you can get a bargain, because even though on paper you save 5 million, right? That could be the difference between a couple of league positions, which is about 6 million. That could be a difference between, another Champions League win, which is 2 million. It's the reason I say that is getting them in early, giving an opportunity to learn the system, get an opportunity to play with these players, build a chemistry with these players. Drop my AirPods. Like, it's massive. And that's why, when we talk about Tell, for example, right? And actually, Odebear is a good example. Odebear didn't really get a pre-season. Odebear will be better next season because of that. Tell, he's had 6 months here. He's then going to get a whole pre-season and tour to build up his game with Ange and the other guys and keep building that chemistry. He will be leaps and bounds better for that next season. Okay, he will be. So it's look, you have to go early in the market. I'm not saying you have to get all your business done in the first 3 weeks. That's unlikely. But get a left back, grab an attacker, and grab maybe another player. So you get 3 in pretty early, right? Not saying, like I said, not saying all in the first month, but before they get on tour, try and get the majority of business done before they get on tour. And then maybe something pops up at the end of the window and you go, oh, we'll add that. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, no, I like that. That's a good move, because then you can go, well, that's a move that we didn't expect, but it's popped up. Archie Gray was probably one of those, So there'll have to be some sales this summer. We know that. We ran through them. You could sell. There's probably a situation where you sell in Richarlison. You could sell Basuma. There's still a chance Basuma's leaving. Bentancur and Romero, let's see on them. Look, if they sell Romero, I think they go and get Mark Gray. I really do. He would just go straight into replacement, But I think Romero actually stays. I've just got a weird feeling that he stays. The last few days, Romero's not been sober the last few days, and I've absolutely loved it. Mickey van der Ven, when the bus was going past me, he's got a beer in his hand. He's having a belter of a time. And I'm just like, yeah, Mick, you enjoy it. And then at 5:20, him and Madison are still out drinking. And I'm like, okay, we're not seeing Mickey on Sunday, are we? But I think you're selling Solomon, you're selling Hill. Alfie Devine, I think you have a question this summer. Does he move on permanently this summer? Like, he's had a solid season in Belgium. I expect him to probably get a chance in pre-season, but is there a situation he may move on if it's not gone well? Alejo Veliz, we'll have to see about that. Richie, Biss. I'm trying to think of any other first teamers that may move, other than the ones I've mentioned. I don't think there's anyone else that I'm thinking about first. Ben Davies, actually. Ben Davies. So, you have to do that. And one thing I would say is when we talk about transfers, the squad is quite full, and there's a lot of players still to add to that. Players out on loan. The squad, there has to be a big exercise again this summer. There needs to be another one. We can't hoard players. That's not how it works. You're gonna have to move on some first teamers. I will be, gonna be honest with you. You have to move on some first teamers to make the space for players to come in. You can't just say, oh, we're gonna have 4 players in every position. You have squad restrictions. So I know obviously people are thinking about, and people obviously very much, living in the prison of their moment. I'll keep that guy, keep that guy. we do need to be smart and say we can love a player, but we can all acknowledge it might be the time to move on. Players on the last year of their contracts in their late 20s, this is when their value is at the highest. Obviously, Pierre Højbjerg, sorry, I forgot to say, Pierre-Emil Højbjerg, that becomes officially this summer. He will be sold officially. He was on loan with an obligation. That is another little pot of money that's going to come our way. You add that to the coffers. That's about what, 12.5 million, something like that. You're adding that. You add Solomon for about 14. Let's say Brian Hill for 8. You start to look at that and you go, well, that's about 34, 35, 36 million that you're getting about just from those 3. You can still free up a little bit of cash there. I know they're saying they're cash strapped, not financial fair play strapped. Well, if I send you those few boys and you're going to go, well, I've got a bit of money, got some cash to flow around here. Let's do some transfers. So, those are some easy transfers. I still think Girona will take Brian Hill permanently. Solomon has a market. He's an easy sell. Leeds are coming up. They've got, about 100 million spend apparently Leeds this summer. Easy 14, 15 million to Leeds. Richie, if you sell Richie, it's about 20 to 30 million to Everton. They've got a new stadium coming this summer. They're going to have a bit more money to spend because of it. You play all these things in to the transfer market that we have. Obviously, revenue from winning Europa Leagues and getting Champions League football, that plays a part. You do get given funds for that. It's all those things that go into it. It's not just, Spurs can spend 150 million. Don't worry. It's like, no, there's other things that can kind of come into it. So, if you're spending, let's say, 55 on Eze because you managed to get in there early and you maybe get the deal a little bit cheaper, it's a big chunk of money. So you need to be smart about how you do it. And you could probably cover that with a few sales and then you can go, right, we've still got some money to spend though. We're going to, then you might still end up selling Basuma. I'm just saying that is a possibility. You still may sell Basuma this summer. Are we like this? I thought he was brilliant in the semi-final against Bodo Glimt. I thought he was brilliant in the final against Manchester United. But him and Bentancur, there is a question mark over those two this summer due to 1 year left on their contracts and they're both in their late 20s. And if you're going to get any money for him this summer, it's now. You either give him a new contract or you sell him. That's what you're doing this summer. There's no point running one of those two down into letting him go for free. There's just no point. So, you know what I mean? I've seen a few of you say that you don't want to sell Basuma. I'd love to know your thoughts as to why you don't want to. Again, if you're not going to sell Basuma, you're going to have to extend him. And if you're not going to sell Bentancur, you're going to have to extend him. You're probably not going to add a midfielder into the midfield room either. That, you'd be locked into those sort of players. Obviously, Madders, unless you view Kulu as a right winger, you're viewing, there's Madders, there's Kulu, there's Bergvall, there's Gray, there's Sarr, there's Basuma, there's Bentancur. You can't, you know what I mean? So, but I think, you could get 15 to 20 million for Basuma. You can get about 15 for Solomon, about 7 to 8 for Brian Hill. Veliz, I don't think you're going to get much for Veliz, but again, they might see if they can take one more loan deal on him and see if it can work. Ben Davies is a question mark there. It might be the right time, leave on a high. Potentially, you might get a few quid out of him as well. I'd expect one of those teams that are coming up. You think about Leeds coming up. I think they're going to Shimaka's. So I don't think Leeds maybe for a centre back, but I don't think Leeds will go for him. Burnley are coming up. What's their centre back that we got linked to? Is it Esteve? He could be an option this summer again, but they might look at a Ben Davies. And Sheffield United versus Sunderland is today. The playoff, the Championship playoff final, I think, is today. One of those two would absolutely love to have a Ben Davies for sure. There's probably some teams in the Premier League that like to have Ben Davies, I think he would. Everton. Everton would have him probably, you could, double move him and Richie, 30 to 40 million. So, you know what I mean? But I think, the idea of holding and hoarding onto players, let's try and enjoy, obviously, the rest of this week. Love this week. But come Monday, we need to get back into the mode of, hey, we need to think about the future. Don't think about next season. It's just next season. We need people that are going to be here 4 or 5 years, right? At least when it comes to signing them. But players that are going to be here only a couple more years due to their age, it's time to move on. It's just time to move on when you got some value on them. Now, I've seen some players, people say Sonny. Sonny, I think, will be here next season. A healthy, fit Sonny is still a really good footballer. This season, people going, oh, he's lost it. He's this, that, and the other. And it's like, yeah, well, he's playing through an injury because we've got 12 other players out and he's trying to be a good leader. And he's just running himself into more injuries because we've got no one else to play. So I get why people say that. He hasn't lost it. I mean, he has over 20 goal contributions this season. If that's lost it, then how many players ever had it in the Premier League? So again, I think he's not one of the top players on my list that I would ever think about leaving. There are many others in the first team squad alone that I would much have further up the list, and also players out on loan. I don't think Sonny will move. I think Sonny will stay. Again, they might work on a year-to-year basis. I could see that. But again, also, selling Sonny, I don't think people going, we can get 60 million for Son. I was like, I don't think you can. I just don't think you can, So again, I mean, if you bring in Eze, that's the replacement going forward. Have another year with Sonny, and then you go, we've got Eze. We've got the guy, So right, let's talk about him because I've seen so many people comment him. Marshall, don't worry, I'm coming to him now. People talking about Kobbie Mainoo. Okay, so if you don't know what the Man United situation is right this second financially, I could put it lightly, they're screwed. They need to sell loads of players for cash flow because they are riddled with debt and it's only getting worse, hence why there's more layoff of staff. They need to cash in on academy players for financial fair play. So Kobbie Mainoo, they're going to sell Alejandro Garnacho. That's apparently going to happen. He's done. You're going to be selling him. He's obviously going to help massively to financial fair play. And the Kobbie Mainoo thing is only linked to Spurs due to the fact that he uploaded a story about 2 months ago, as he was a child wearing a Spurs kit. Okay, so I get it. Now, let's think about the idea of this, because I want to. This is what I mean. This is an open discussion. There's 200 people watching me, by the way. Absolute legends, all of you. Yeah, you. No, not the person behind you, not the dog. You, legends. Appreciate it. The channel is just doing this at the moment. It's so good. This week's been brilliant. So many more people here. So many new faces. And I appreciate, by the way, everyone that subscribes. Legends. The Kobbie Mainoo thing is a difficult one. Now, number one, financially, Man United are going to demand about 60 million, and Spurs won't do that. He's marketable, and he obviously Daniel Levy would love that. England international. It's Spurs won't go there. Chelsea would go there. Chelsea would be all over that. I feel like Arsenal would like that. Obviously abroad, there's probably some teams that would like it. I feel like he'd be good at Bayern. To be fair, they've got a few older midfielders. Young guys come in there with your Pavloviches and things like that. It could be good, but I don't think Spurs would do it. I'd love to know what you guys think. On a value of this is how much we'd get. I missed a super chat. 1 second. I've just remembered I missed a super chat. Sean, the Gooner Slayer. Could we be ruthless and sell Son? We could be. Sean, by the way, thank you for the super chat, my friend. I didn't forget. I did a little bit, but I came back to it. So apologies, but thank you for the super chat. You bloody legends. You could. I just don't see it though, mate. I just think Sonny still offers you something in the attack that we at times lack. So yeah, I don't think so. But on Mainoo, look, he's a good player. I do like Kobbie Mainoo. He does give me Spurs vibes, in terms of the flair and things like that. But the cost is going to be outrageous. Garnacho is probably going to cost about 50 odd million, and that's not worth it. Not worth it. Although he does say that Romero is the best centre back in the world, so he gets it. He gets it. But apparently, there's dressing room unrest, and it's very toxic at Manchester United as well. A part of me also kind of doesn't want to help Man United out in regards to buying players off of them. Like, let them suffer. Let them riddle and fall further into debt, So that's kind of my thinking as well. Maybe that's a bit cynical and mean of me. I like him. I think he's going to cost an absolute fortune, though, and I just can't see it. I can't see. I think his form's dipped a little bit this year. I'm not sure if he truly suits Amarim Ball. I don't look at him because Amarim Ball likes to play with two centre mids who are, powerhouses. Look at the Sporting Lisbon central midfielders; they're powerhouses. Mainoo gives me vibes that he'd be a bit further forward or play on a three. But nah, let him suffer. Look, if you're going to spend the money that you don't have, I'm going to let you suffer. We'll come and, hey, we might buy a player off of you, but we're not going to give you the money that you truly, truly want. No. This is Daniel Levy's wet dream, to pounce on other teams with financial fair play. You could imagine him going, Kobe Mainoo, and they go, well, he's one of our players, not sure. And Daniel's like, no, come on, we'll talk. And you go, oh, well, come on then. What money? And Daniel Levy just goes, 20 million. And they go, are you joking? And he's like, do I look like I'm joking? You already know that would happen. He'd be swatting. He's just circling. It's like a shark in the water circling. No. 25 million Mainoo steals him. Look, if he was good value, other teams would want him as well. I'd like him. Add him to the midfield room. He doesn't really solve the 6 issue though. That's the other issue that I have. You would then probably view Kulusevski more as a right winger because you want to try and get more time still to Bergval and Madison and things like that. So again, hard to say, but you know what I mean. It's 20 quid and 5 mil over 30 years. The one true Spur. That sounds like a Star Wars. I'm the one true Spur. Hello there. I'm in a weird mood. I don't know why I've said that. Why have I done that? That's such a weird thing to do. Too many beers yesterday. That was probably. I'm gonna sum it to the too many beers. No, I'm not taking Glasner, mate, because Ange is here. That's the key point. Ange is here. I'll tell you what, let's do a bit of an idea, right? Let's do a speak aloud idea. Let's think about not the players out on loan, because obviously I think we know there's going to be players out on loan that are going to be leaving permanently, right? Let's think about this squad, right? So the first team squad. What I'm going to do is I want you to comment, okay? I want you to comment. So I'm not going to do a poll for this, just yes or no, okay? I'm going to say a player, or just say keep or sell, right? Actually, let's do keep or sell, okay? So if you want to keep and say keep and type it and let me know. If you want sell, do the sell, okay? So I'm going to go through some players and see what you guys think, all right? Are you ready? Now, put the coffee down. Put it down. Stop making toast. You've not got enough butter on that toast as well. All right, here we go. Right. Ben Davies. Keep or sell. Sean with a super chat. With Prashi coming, do you think we will be getting players from Italy? I think there's a chance. Yes, Sean. By the way, Sean, another super chat. You're bloody legend, mate. You're bloody legend. All right. I think there is a chance. Yeah. I think there is a chance that, Prashi would. Prashi is a guy who is opportunistic when it comes to transfers. Like Johan Lang is methodical. Apparently, we're watching some guy in the Serie C. It's not Serie A, not the Serie B, the Serie C. That shows Parachi has, or Lang's either got it through the data system, or Parachi just knows way too much about Italian football. But between them, they'd be perfect, Afternoon, Philip. How are you, mate? Yeah, by the way, people keep saying Wharton's going to cost 100 million plus, by the way. Just FYI, he's going to cost 100 million plus. It's going to be ridiculous. Keep handy, give over you. Right, loads of you commented. Here we go. Right, here we go. We've got, wow, a lot of you commented. Keep, sell, keep, sell, keep, sell, keep, sell, keep, sell, keep, back up, sell, keep, sell. I think sell's one. Josh has tried to run it up himself on his own. I think, yeah, okay. I would probably sell and replace him with another centre back, though. Okay, so we have to replace him with a genuine centre back. You know, I like him. I do. I think we all like Ben as well. You know, he's been a great professional for Spurs. But again, you've got to think about not just now, you've got to think about next few seasons. And Benny's getting a bit older. You know, I'd probably say this is last year if he did stay. I think they'd probably let him just go on a free. But I just think this season, you know, try and get a few mil out of him. Get him to a place that he wants to go to as well. He's still a Premier League footballer. He can still do it in the Prem. There are much worse players in the Premier League. Just think it might be the right time, you know. You book him a cab. Okay, right. More players to come. More players to come. Do you think we should look at Wharton? Should we? Maybe. Will we? Maybe. Would we ever go for him now? Not at least. Not at this moment in time. Too expensive. Right. Next one's up. Okay. Now, this one I've got a view on, which I will explain after I get your ideas. Okay. So next one up. At centre back, I want to talk about Radu Dragic. Okay. Now, before you answer, time out. He won't be able to complete a medical. Okay. He won't be able to complete a medical. So a team won't be able to see him fit until January. So what I'm saying is not to sell this window. All right. If you're going to sell him, January. So buy or sell January with Radu. What do we think? I think a few of you commented before you got there, but I'm going to read these anyway. We've got sell, keep, sell, keep if Ange adapts, give over, sell. I still think there's something there. Baz, mate, how are you? Keep. Do you know what? I'm surprised. I thought people were going to tell me sell on Radu Dragic. That's made me happy. I think, look at it this way. For me with Radu, as like you think about that final, Europa League final, my God, Radu would have been the best player on the pitch. Because you're thinking, mate, we're just going to defend. We're going to defend like crazy, head everything that comes into the box and just defend. Radu's like, I might get man of the match. This is my game. He just needs to get that little bit better with the ball. He doesn't even need to get to Romero standard. Like Romero is an anomaly in football. That's ridiculous as a centre-back. Let's say he got to like Danso's level or near Danso's level, right? As a centre-back with his technical ability, which I think he can improve on, by the way. I definitely do think he can improve. He's got defending down packed. Him with the ball can improve. That's a player and a half, I think, in my head, you know? I think for a lot, I think Keep, for the most part, people seem to think, he's good talent, yeah, people just saying, look, just get him to improve on the ball. I think that's fair. I think it's fair. I think we've seen some good stuff from Radu. I think we've seen some stuff what we kind of go, ooh, that gives me pause for concern. But then I also think we all go, yeah, but he can still improve on the technical thing. And also, when we signed him, he had played like 6 months of like top flight football. He's still a young kid when it comes to top flight football. So he I think once he comes back from this injury, which by the way, he looks ridiculous at the moment. He's already training a lot. He's running a lot. He's out kicking footballs already. Like the guy got injured. He did his ACL 4 months ago. And the guy's already at that stage. The guy's going to be back in the early part of winter, isn't he? He's just going to be like, what time should I be back? Well, probably earliest November. He's like, well, how about end of September? And they go, all right, well, who are you? What are you made of? What have you just been? Is like a God healed you or something? Like, what is this? So I think he's got potential, but if he was to move, it would obviously, I would expect to be the following January. Right. Keep or sell. Next one's up. Keep or sell. Yves Bissouma. Keep or sell. Now, I'll give you the context. Bissouma, 1 year left on his contract. He's 29. Okay. Keep or sell. Now, obviously, if you're keeping him, I'm expecting within that, you are saying, I want to give him that contract extension. If you're obviously selling him, you're selling him. I mean, there's not much to it, Here we go. We've got keep, sell, keep, sell. Josh just keeps commenting. Josh, you can't keep doubling up your votes, mate. It doesn't work like that. Sell, sell and upgrade, sell. Keep, if we get a DM, he was great in double pivot. Keep, sell, replace with Cardoso. Keep, sell, sell him or Bentancur. We're going to come to Bentancur next, don't you worry. Sell and extend Bentancur. Sell reluctantly, but sell. Buy Bruno Fernandes. Yeah, that's not happening. It's all right, Josh, mate. It's all right. I love you. Mate, Josh, I love your energy. Never lose the energy, though. Never lose the energy. Excel. All right, mate. We get it. You want to sell. Jesus, mate. Never lose your energy. It's a very positive thing to have. There's not enough in it in this world, so don't lose it. We call it golden retriever energy, and there's a good thing, mate. All right. Sell, can't keep everyone. Love this, but sell. Obviously, Excel sells. With a heavy heart, sell. Love him, but sell. Yeah, I would probably say the same. I think his value's gone up. I would say that. He's not gone up to like 30 million, but you easily get 15 million to 20 million. I think he's able to sell. Yeah, I think for the most part it's sell. By the way, thank you for participating in this. All right. Right. Next up, his double pivot midfielder, Rodrigo Bentancur. 1 year left on his contract. He's a year younger than Bissouma. Are we selling? Are we keeping? Obviously, if you're keeping, you're telling me we're extending. So let's see what you guys think on that one. What I think on Vlahovic, no, thank you. I've been quite steadfast on that, to be fair, for a little while. I know he's moving this summer, but let's be honest, Fiorentina could sell Moise Kean and he could go back to Fiorentina. He gives me Jovetic vibes massively. Good for a couple of seasons, then just falls off. It could give me that vibe, to be fair. Here we go. Right, the comments are up. We've got sell, keep and extend. Keep, sell, keep, sell, keep. That's a massive keep from Alex. My God. We experience a keep, sell if we get a good 6. Absolutely keep. Okay. All right. Okay, I got the idea. Here we go. Here's a fun one. You only keep one. Biss or Bentancur? Who are you keeping? Just write Bentancur or Biss. I want to see out of the two who you are keeping. You've got to get rid of one. Who are you keeping? Out of all the midfielders, Biss is the one who would need to be sold, and then if an upgrade comes through. Okay. Here we go. Bentancur, Biss. Bentancur. Oh, okay, right. Okay. I think Bentancur might win this one. Biss has only had a few. I think Bentancur. Sell Andy 100 mil. I'm worth easily £13, mate. Okay, easy. You've done too much money on that one. Keep Bentancur, sell, but this is as long as Ange is coach. Bentancur. Yeah, okay, so Bentancur wins that one. All right, got that. We got it. Right. Keep or sell? Richarlison. Keep or sell Richarlison. Obviously, 2 years left on his contract. A little bit injury prone this season. Obviously, in his sort of mid to late 20s. Where are we? Keep or sell? God, I should have brought some summer fruit squash for me. I should have kept myself entertained with the summer fruit squash. I knew I didn't do it. I knew I'd regret it. Right, here we go. Sell for a decent fee. Recommend, how are you? Sell, keep. For the most part, right, I'm just going to read if there's any keeps. For the most part, I think everyone's saying sell. Okay, interesting. All right, got that one right. Just warming up, Right, next one's up. This is a bit of a different one. Excel, mate, I'm trying to be, if you want to bring players in this summer, you want 5 new players this summer, you got to move on some players. That's all I'm saying. All right. Buy or let go. Okay, so buy or let go. I'm going to give you the value. Matisse Tell, 40 million. Buy or let go. What do we got? Josh is straight in there. Josh is like, buy. Buonanotte from Brighton. I think Buonanotte is going to get some minutes next season at Brighton. they'd be silly to not give him minutes at Brighton. Brighton's big issue, I think, this season is going to be, obviously, I know they're signing Boscagli from PSV. They need to keep adding to centre back. They need to add at right back. Because I think Veltman obviously getting a bit older. Lamptey, hit and miss. Dunk looks like he's lost his yard of pace. Got to try and keep Belieber as well. Got to try and keep him. Maybe add another midfielder. I know Matt O'Reilly might leave, so get another midfielder in there. Pedro looks like he's leaving, so that'll be the big sale that they make this summer, 50, 60 million. And they need to add in a striker. Definitely a striker. I think Welbeck's been really good, but you know what I mean. Here we go. Right. Bye. Let go. Bye. I'm so awkward. Let go. I'm just going to look for the let goes. I'm just going to count a few of them. Let go. I'd pay up to 50 million. Oh, there you go. That's a vote of confidence whenever I've seen one. Let go. I think for the most part, people want him. I think for the most part, people want him at that sort of price. I'd probably agree. Appreciate Duvolt. You know, 2 volt. Yeah, I think I would probably go the buy route. You know, we're not going to spend the 60 million euros. I think 40 is probably about right, if I'm honest. Yeah, we'll sort of see. Right, got another one for you. Yeah, I hope you're loving this because I'm bloody loving this. I love the interaction I'm getting with you guys. Because when there's 200 of you, it's a lot harder to read your comments at times because there's so many going through. So I like to get a bit more interactive where I can get hands on with it. Again, buy or not. Just buy or not. Okay? N-O-T. Buy or not. All right? No, Andy, I don't want that. I'm not doing that. All right? Buy or not. Value. Eberechi Eze, 68 million pounds. Buy or not. Let's see what we got. I'm expecting to have very, very minimal or nots in this one, to be honest. Very minimal. Yildiz will he'll stay at Juve. They need to hold on to some of their fantastic youngsters. I mean, obviously moved off of Sule isn't going to be helpful. Douglas Luiz doesn't work. They're buying Lloyd Kelly. That was a good investment in the end, probably for Newcastle. They're buying him. Bremer should be back to fitness next season. Will they sell that Cambiasso wing back? Because City are in the market for a wing back or a fullback. I know Tino Livramento, there's links to him. Desi Adoggi, there was links to Desi Adoggi, which if Pep wants to rock over here to try and take Desi Adoggi from him, me and him are going outside to scrap. I'm not having it. I'll fight to the death to keep Desi Adoggi. Here we go. Right. Oh my God, you've all been commenting. Right. How many not? So we've got 1, 2. I think there's like 2 or 3 that says no. 2 or 3 that said no. So that's interesting. And by the way, if you're watching this back, there was about 30 or 40 that were like, no, buy him. All right. So that says a lot. Do you think the Pope can bully Ange? What a question that is. Just can the Pope bully Ange? Well, he might try. But when I run through a brick wall because of Ange's just said hello to me and I've run through the brick wall and the ricochet from the brick flying everywhere, the Pope's going to be ducking and hiding. All right. So, oh, you meant Pep. Do you think Pep can bully Ange? No. Nah, he can't. Right. Who's another one that I want to think about? All right. Here we go. Right, you ready? Buy or not? Buy or not? Value. I'm going to put 50 million on this value. It might end up being a bit cheaper, but I'm going to be over the top with it. 50 million. Mark Guehi. Buy or not? So I just saw some reports about Barcelona. I was thinking, don't you even link to one of our players. I won't be having it. Here we go. Right, so I'm just going to read the or nots basically. There's more than I think. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4. Oh, I've missed a few. Hang on. There's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. God, there's so many. That's more than I thought. I thought people would be really on board with the Mark Guay idea. That's quite surprising. Look, obviously, if Romero goes, like obviously it frees a situation up that you might do it. Interesting. Have to chat about it another day. Like, if it wasn't going to be Mark Guay, who would it be for centre back? I have to do that another day because I think it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. All right, next one. Now I'm going to be a bit more over the top with the value again because I want to get a real idea. Got to love it. This will show me if you love them or not. 40 million. Rayan Cherki, 40 million. Who between Ange and Chuck Norris? Chuck Norris, mate. I love Ange, but Chuck Norris would win. But yeah, 40 million, Rayan Cherki. Sorry, I was reading something. Buy, not too much. Buy, not buy. I think buy is going to win, but not by a lot. A handful. So, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I think if Cherki was maybe a little bit less, I do really find him exciting. I like watching him play. But if it was to be that sort of figure, just spend a little bit more and give me Eze. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. This is one of my favorite videos I think we've ever done, to be honest. Just being a bit more out there with it. Right, next one's up. Okay, and look, I don't really know a ton about what we'll do at left back, right? So I'm not going to broach that area because there's not really much coming out about it so far. Which I will, whilst you're voting, have a look at something else. Again, historical links. Just saw someone go, we should go for Oscar Bob. I wouldn't mind that, actually. I really rate Oscar Bob. No. Sorry, 1 second. No. Okay. Right. Sorry. Back to it. Buy or not? Buy or not? Value. Now, there's chatter around it being 65, but I think you're probably getting about 50 to 55. Okay. So let's say 55. Let's meet halfway, basically. Okay. 55. 5-5. Brian and Buemo. 55. What are we thinking? Buy or not? Leandro Damio, we will be there. I'm glad that we're still being linked to Leandro Damio because I was worried that we stopped, Tyrese Mitchell on a free. Tyrick Mitchell, isn't it? Is he? Right, hang on. Tyrick Mitchell. God, he is on a free this summer. What on earth? He's got 5 assists this season. I'm just saying. I mean, it looks like he hasn't missed much football. Sorry, right. God, there's loads of comments again. I've missed so many. So, tell you what, this one is a lot closer. This feels 50-50. This feels 50-50. We won't be getting Matoma. If they're selling Pedro, they won't sell Matoma. Although I think they should have sold Matoma. Will Still signing as new Southampton manager. I think they should have sold Matoma. They were getting offers from Saudi, weren't they, for like 85, 90 million. I would have. Yeah, do it. Goal contributions aren't there. Do it. You could have done that and, knowing Brighton bought like 1,000 players for that money. I'd have done it. Even some of my Brighton friends were like, yeah, we need to be doing this. And they didn't. I was surprised. So there you go. And Buemo feels like it's a bit more 50-50. All right. A lot closer than anyone. I think Guay was the other one that we did that was close. That one is definitely close. That is definitely close. Kirkes, yeah, Kirkes is off to Liverpool. Robertson, I expect to stay at Fulham. I like, again, before someone jumps in there, I like him. But again, I think he's going to cost 50 odd plus. Livermento is going to cost ridiculous money. I think Mitchell's a shout. But there's probably some other ones. There's probably some other fullbacks we've been linked to that we have no idea about how good he is. You never know. And Real Madrid, keep or sell. Well, it's going to be Xabi Alonso, so keep, thanks. Wharton's going to cost more than 70. They're already approaching the idea it's going to cost about 120. So it'll be more than that. It'll be about 100, I think, because they'll sell other players and then not need to sell him. So that'll be why. I've just completely forgot who I was going to ask about. Okay, yeah, sorry. Buy or not? Again, another buy or not. Again, I want to get... there's two, actually. And Nikhil's given me one of the names. I want to talk about him because we have had a loose link to him, and I don't know why. But this one is more serious, though. This one is a very more realistic option. Johnny Cardoso, 25 million. I think it's in and around that figure. 25 million, buy or not? What do we think? Buy or not? Johnny Cardoso, 25 million. There's 216 people here watching me. What the hell? What the hell? Oh, my passport's just been delivered. Come on. Come on. Not not potentially good option. Buy. I think buys are gonna win, but I don't think they're gonna. I think there is a few in there that says no, which I find very interesting. I think as a fan base, we've been drilled into this idea that you have to sign them, and we don't. Apparently, if it's not us picking them up, there'll be other teams that pick them up that will. They'll end up obviously paying way above that, and we'll end up making some money back, So yeah, no, Kulu's who's the right foot. Don't worry. I think you might have a glitch system of 16 likes. We're on 87, I think, mate. Don't worry. There are people liking the video, the absolute legends. Which I do appreciate everyone that has liked the video. You absolute legends, I promise you. Look, I like Edison. I do like Edison. I don't think he is at Spurs. I think Edison goes to the Premier League this summer. I don't think because of Verts, I don't see it being Liverpool. Chelsea. I don't think Chelsea would do him. Man United probably would, but they haven't got the money. Villa probably would. Newcastle probably would. City. Why do I think City? Why do I think that would work so well at City? I don't know why. I don't know why I think City and Edison. I've seen the links before. It probably makes more sense than I realise. No, I bloody wouldn't, Sean. Give over. No, I do appreciate it. We're on 93 now. There you go. A few more people liking it, you bloody legends. Yeah, sorry. There was one that I technically they already have an Edison. They might sell him. They might be selling Edison, the keeper. Right. This is one that I want to talk about. I'll have a bit of a chat about it as well whilst you vote. Okay. Now I don't truly know the value. I don't truly know the value on one of these. Okay. So just bear with me. I'm going to try and find a bit of a ballpark figure for him because we've been linked to him. So why have I just seen that video? I hope that's not his page. Well, that's such a weird video. I don't know if I want him now. I've just seen something I didn't want to see. What a weird thing to post. Right. This came from Romano to say that he's leaving, but we have been linked sporadically. And I think he would suit us, but obviously, there you go. Right. I've just seen an article. Here we go. Tottenham ready to do anything for Xavi Simons, 80 million euros for the European star, potentially. Okay, right. Well, I don't think it's going to be 80 million euros. God loves the hopeful and God loves the tries. It's not going to be that. Here we go. Xavi Simons. Let's say 65, 70. Buy or not. He's had a really good few years. His stats have been, very solid over the last few years. I think if I try and find them because I just saw them. He had more chances of big chances created in Champions League this season than Florian Wirtz. Last 3 seasons, 75 goals and assists. He's got 43 goals and 32 assists. So call it 11 assists a season and 14 goals a season. So 14, 11, 25 goal contributions. Wouldn't be too bad. I've missed all the comments. I'm sorry. Let me do it now. Right, here we go. Yes, absolutely. Yes, no. Yes, no. Simmons seems a bit too big time for Spurs. It's Leipzig. No offense to them. A lot of knots, which is interesting. A lot of knots. Okay. There you go, Philip. Philip goes, no, I prefer Eze. Ooh, I love that. Rather Eze and Baymo for that money. I mean, both those players, I think, would end up being somewhat cheaper than Simmons. Younger than both of those as well. You take that into account. He's going to, he could kick about for 10 years, Good player. I do like Simmons. I like watching him play. I don't think it will happen. I don't know who would go for him. Like if Bayern miss out on Wirtz, there you go. He's going there, isn't he? Because they'll have the money for it. Because if they're not spending it on Wirtz, Simmons is going to cost about half the price. They'll go there, won't they? I think Wirtz might end up at Liverpool. So if that's the case, then yeah, there you go. Simmons is off to Bayern. You can tell. Not bad. Simmons, Musiala, Elise, feeding Harry Kane. Ooh, that doesn't sound too bad. That must be nice. I mean, we used to feed Harry Kane, so I know what that feels like. But you know what I mean. Seems to be premium for Levy. Gittins is a weird one. I think there was a real hype around Gittins, and then it tailed off at the second part of the season. I don't really know why. Bayern, yeah. No, after Werner, everyone from there scares me. Fair enough. Scar, the battle wounds, the scar wounds of it all. I could see him going City. I could. Obviously, they're out of the Wirtz race because they've said it's too expensive. So I could see that. Yeah. Go on, Josh. I'll do this one. Right, come on. This is gonna be the last one I do because I feel hungry. I want to go eat. Right, last one that I do. And this one's close to the heart. You know who I'm about to say. Luka Modric on a free, yes or no? Now, I was having this conversation yesterday with a few different people on Luka Modric. I love Luka. Luka, in theory, is probably the best player that's played for Spurs in a long time. Okay, I'm not saying for what he did at Spurs. I'm just saying, look, the guy's won a Ballon d'Or. Gareth Bale never did. Harry Kane hasn't. So, that's what I'm just saying. I love Luka. I think Luka with the ball is still magical. Watching Real Madrid this season, he can still play. He can. Now, for me, the only way this works is if you don't expect him to play 3 times a week because it's just too much. Josh, mate, how are you? The amount that like a Gray, a Sarr, a Bergval would learn from a player like Modric is immense, but don't expect him to play 3 times a week. Now, if I said yesterday, biggest game of the week, and you go to Luka Modric, see you next Wednesday, Chief, away at PSG, the guy's going to turn up and play well. He will. But the wages would need to come down because he's probably on some really good money. But I don't know. Here we go. Let's see what we go. Wow. That's an emphatic yes from Joshua. A few no's there. I feel like no is probably leading just by a little bit. Eric, he's older than 35, mate. Luka is 38, isn't he? Hang on. Luka, older Modric. How old is old Luka here? Where the hell is he? That's not showing me that. Age, there we go. 39. Oh, he'll be 40 next season. Oh, Luca. As much as I like it, it's not realistic. Sign him up, play him a bit deeper. I mean, Luca in the 8 would still cook. Luca in the 10, I think, would still cook. But, don't know. Interesting. I think a lot of people. Peter, how are you? A lot of people. All right, Sean, one more. We're doing one more. We talked about him earlier. We're doing one more because I'm hungry and I want to go eat. I've enjoyed this. This, by the way, this has been one of my favourite streams I've done all season. Don't get me wrong. Wednesday night was a pretty damn good stream. I loved that. And the day after was still great. This has been a different style and I've loved this. It's all this week. This week has been the best week of videos that we've done on this channel. So thank you all for tuning in, by the way. I really do appreciate it. All the likes, the comments, the subscribes, I love them all. I try and get back to all of your comments. You know, I promise I do. Even though you think I'm ignoring you, I'm not. I still read your comments. Sometimes I just answer your question 20 minutes after you've said something. You know, I promise. But if you comment after the videos, I always try, you know. But I really do enjoy it. So thank you all for the support this season. It's been absolutely magical and I've enjoyed it. But last one we're going to do the names of, okay? Talked about him earlier. Angel Gomez on a free, yay or nay? Buy or not? Buy or not? Appreciate it, Philip, mate. And free range. Cheers, boys. Appreciate it. I wonder why this week was so good. Well, nothing happened this week, Sean. Nothing happened this week. I don't know what you're on about. This week was a nice, calm week. I don't even think Spurs played. There wasn't any buses going by me yesterday with people on, like open top. So there's nothing going on. $106 likes now. We've had a boom. Bloody hell, you legends. Here we go. Right. Yes, buy. Yes, not. Yes, not buy. Sure. Marshall, I don't know. Marshall, it's buy or not, mate. It was 1 or 2 words. Buy or not. I don't know. It doesn't fit in though, does it? Come on, you. No, buy. Yeah, buy. No, buy. Yes. Gomez more yes than not. Angel is mid-20s. No, I don't think he's better than Gray in a year. Well, that's a good shout. We didn't play. We let United run out of ideas in 5 minutes of football, and I'm here for it. Now, Ange doesn't adjust. Ange doesn't tweak anything. Ange doesn't do this. Ange doesn't do that. Ange doesn't do that and this and that. I think that's a good point, though. Does Gomez in a year start ahead of a Gray or a Bergval? If he doesn't, there's no point. Because you in theory, is Gomez an upgrade on Basuma? Is Gomez an upgrade on Bentancur? I don't think he is. Like, not enough of one, at least, for it to be warranting my time. I'd much rather upgrade. If I'm moving on from one of them, I'm upgrading them properly. You know what I mean? And I know he's free, and it sounds cheap on paper. Free deals are never cheap. They're still never cheap. I just can't see it personally. Okay, right, yeah, I get where some people are saying. A lot of people saying Wharton. I love the positivity that you have, you guys, on Wharton. Wharton is going to cost an absolute arm and leg. It's not happening. I promise you, it's not happening. Play Ange and Archie in double pivot. We will be there. We will be there. Off top of Gani, it annoyed me a bit that some fans are still debating Ange in or Ange out. Like, we just want a trophy. He's staying. Ange will be staying. The thing is, right, Levy getting rid of him would just annoy the majority of the fan base. He's wound up a good chunk of them already. Doing that, it's like, oh, there's a house on fire. Let me throw some petrol at that. You know? It's like, oh, this store is being robbed. Well, why don't I just go rob it some more? I'm going to join in on robbing this store, you know? It's just, yeah. He won't do it. Even if you think he's an idiot, he's not that much of an idiot. He's more progressive than Benton or Basuma. And Buemo, please. Look, no, again, I like Wharton. I think he's a fabulous footballer, and I love watching him play. Spurs aren't spending 100 plus on Wharton. It's not happening, you know. Stiller, yeah, I like Stiller. Again, is he leaving Stuttgart this summer though? Yes, Boris. Yeah, good shout. I'm not encouraging doing such acts of violence and all that sort of stuff. Please don't do that. It was just an example. Please don't. All right, leave people alone. All right, don't be mean to them. United fan base is melting down. We will be there. Buy or not one ham sandwich? Is it fresh? Steve, I want you to ask me this question. Steve, you and me can have this conversation. Is it fresh? Is it fresh ham sandwich? Because if it's just a run of the mill meal deal shop bought, it's not fresh. Won't be having it. But if it's fresh, I'm interested. Levy won't have the balls to sack Ange, and his decision we may bitterly regret come Christmas time, where we have no Champions League in 15th. Okay. Yeah, I'll buy that. I'll buy that sandwich, Steve. Yeah, I'll be there then. Summer fruit squash to the BLT. That's a damn good afternoon, I tell you that. Right, one more then, Josh, because I've said one more 2 more times already. And at some point, I do have to eat. Need to get big and strong. Last one, okay. And it's one that I guess is sentimental, and it might play on people's hearts a little bit, and it's going to be difficult. And Akil, I'll answer your question as you guys tell me buy or not. Sell or not. Sell or not. Okay, how about this? Sell or not, and if you say sell, give me the value of what that sell needs to be for you to do it. Sonny. Sell or not, give me the value. I would keep Son personally. 3 players that I would buy if I had 150 million. Give me Eze. Give me Eze. Get Tell. Mitchell on a free would just screams too much sense. That's 100 million. You could still go Cardoso and another player for 150. But if I was just to go 4 players for 150, I've got Tell, got Eze. I don't know who I'd get. I'd get another midfielder, but I don't know who. Just don't know who. 35 to 40. No, save us for last. Yeah, so tough. Yeah, I'm not selling him. A lot of them saying no. So yeah, I think we're all in agreement. Don't move off for Sonny. Don't be doing such a thing. Keep him here. Keep everyone happy. Let's be smart about it. I don't think someone going to buy him. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, don't think so. Stays the end of the contract. Yeah. Well, obviously he's got 1 year for his contract going in, so it'd be a hard one to work out. Florian Wirtz is leaning towards Liverpool over Bayern Munich. Wow. I don't think what hasn't helped Bayern in all of this. What hasn't helped Bayern in all of this is their arrogance from their higher ups to say, "Oh, he's joining us," whereas Liverpool have just done it like professionals. Bayern's arrogance has come back to bite them. And so we need one extra mature and experienced player. We need a few, to be honest. We need a few. But even the young players that we have gained a whole year of experience. And that's something you can't put a price on, And Santi, the summer transfer window begins. Absolutely. Look, thank you all so much for joining me this morning and into the afternoon. I really do appreciate it. Go and enjoy the rest of your weekends. Obviously, got the Championship playoff final this weekend. Today, actually, at 3 o'clock it is. Go and watch it. See who we're going to be playing next season in the Championship. Sunderland or Sheffield United see that. But look, thank you all so much for joining me. I really do appreciate you. Absolute bloody legends. And I will be back tomorrow to give my last minute thoughts ahead of Brighton versus Spurs. Take care, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your days, and I'll speak to you then. Peace.